call the Support Services Committee. Yeah, right. Anyway, and what I need is a motion to pass the minutes. It's been a long morning.
Yeah, what are you doing up there?
I don't know. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from last month. Supervisor McDevitt, seconded by Supervisor McDonald. With that, we'll turn it over to Mike.
Morning. In IT, we've talked about how our job descriptions in the past are written around a person. They leave years later, it's hard to fill. So as we fill each one, we've been working with civil service to get everything written correctly and not around a specific person. So today's resolution is to delete a programmer position and create a new one, just to have it written correctly. And we've made an offer to a person so we can actually hire somebody to get somebody in place, and this is to get that all within our structure.
I move to put it on the floor.
All right, second that motion. Supervisor McDonald, question, Mr. Leggett.
And so, Michael, this is going according to plan, like you've described before, just to streamline, and you have just a programmer position for service desk, right?
Correct, yeah, we have a programmer. So we worked on paper. We have one position, but we wrote 3 job descriptions so we could recognize experience over time. And this way here, but what it means is I can't just have 3 people in my table of organization. I have to have the current person. So what it does mean, as people come or go, we have to remove one and put in the proper one. So we found the right person, and this is the job description that fits this person that we put it together ahead of time to make that work.
Mr. McDonald?
Mr. Chairwoman, this is in your budget already?
Yes.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, it's been budgeted since January 1st, so we're ahead of the curve on that.
All right, any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And nothing new, just an update. I've been telling you I've been short-staffed. We've been working through civil service, and so this gets us one position, and we just interviewed a bunch of people, and we're about to offer 2 people jobs. So, and those are already approved and already done. So we'll finally be up to staff and get them trained and quit treading water and start doing some more proactive stuff. So there we are.
Doing a good job. Thank you. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would you like me to move down there so you don't have to turn around? Okay, all right.
Turn around in our swivel chairs.
That's a lot to ask.
They can turn around.
I have a couple of things. The first thing is we would like to amend Resolution 295 of 1995. Several times, well, a lot of times, agreements will come through from social services for the commissioner's signature, and it'll be reviewed by social services attorneys after we've reviewed it. Our position is that if the chairman's not going to sign it with the authority of the board, we don't need to review it in the county attorney's office. They have a social services attorney's office. They're the ones that know what they're looking for and going to advise the commissioner over there, so we'd like to remove our review of that and just let the social services attorneys approve contracts for her signature.
All right, could we bring that to the floor, please? Would someone like to make a motion? Supervisor Brock, seconded by Supervisor Leggett. Discussion. Mr. Brock?
What was the original thinking about having both departments do it?
There was not always a separate social services attorney's office, so that was just one of those things that wasn't separated.
Anyone else?
So what will happen is that there will be a resolution by the full board to approve that changes the language.
Yeah, we've drafted a proposed resolution. It's on the back page of that. Yes, sir.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
The second item is discussion regarding some of the Medicaid, I'm sorry, not Medicaid. It's been a full basket of that kind of stuff, so I got confused. Westmount private pay outstanding balances. Tom Clements has several of these files, and he is collecting. He has actions commenced on several of them. There are others that he has taken that he has not commenced actions on yet, but he has indicated that pursuant to his agreement with the county, he wants to continue to collect on those. The ones that remain that he has not taken, not worked on, and does not have any intention of proceeding on, I've spoken to Larry Paltrowitz because of the economies of scale he has at his firm and the number of people he has that don't get paid lawyer salaries, paralegals, and other administrative folks, they can chase some of these things down a little more efficiently. He's made an offer to the county to try to collect some of these private pay balances, and he's offered 3 different options for the county if we wish to hire his firm. The first one is a contingent fee where they would collect whatever they could collect. 1/3 of it would be their fee. So if they don't collect anything, they would not get a legal fee. If they collected $100, they'd get $33.33. That would obligate the county to pay whatever disbursements there were. Any kind of, there's no filing fee for the county for index numbers, so we wouldn't have to pay that. But if there are state fees, for example, a request for judicial intervention or any of those things that we do pay, we would have to pay those. Those are fairly minimal. Joanne has advised that there is money in the public nursing home budget for those kinds of fees. The other option is a hourly rate of $180 an hour with a $540 minimum and a $1,620 maximum per file, plus those disbursements if there are any, or a straight $180 per hour with no minimum or maximum. All those options have their own benefits and drawbacks. To me, the best option for the county is the contingency fee, because the only downside is that the law firm does real well. If the law firm does real well, by definition, so has the county. We don't have to front a lot of money. We don't have to worry about putting legal fees into cases where we're not going to get any return. We'll have to put some disbursements perhaps and not get a return, but we wouldn't have to pay a legal fee on top of that.
All right, what's the feeling of the committee? What is your feeling on the 3 options?
The concept of recovery on that, what would be an average bill we're looking to recover?
I don't know the amounts. Mike's got his hand up over there. I don't know if that's the...
The only thing I can tell you is about most of these, they're smaller amounts. It's going to be very difficult to collect because, unfortunately, all of these people are passed away.
Mhm.
So it's going after the heirs, the sons, whatever. So it's not going to be an easy job to collect. We're not going to get all the money. And that's why I think the best way to do it is to give them, a third of whatever they can collect, because otherwise I think we're going to spend an awful lot of money at $180 an hour with one of them, you said, and get nothing in return other than spending a lot of money. The amount that's out there, do you remember what it was, Kevin?
Around 530. Isn't that 530,000?
Well, we've got
But Mr. Clement has some of the bigger ones.
But we're working on, Tom has had me appointed administrator of 4
Nice.
states. And we just actually had a court proceeding the other day on one of them. That amounts to about 300 and some thousand of that total that we're working on. And where we're at least at the stage right now is we're looking for the assets, okay? I've been appointed the administrator. I've had to get an outside counsel to work because Tom Clemens was actually employed by the county to do this. He got me appointed as administrator. Now I have hired an outside attorney to pursue the assets to find them. And that's almost 300,000 of that 500 and some.
So it's probably 200, 250.
100 or so roughly, I think, is about where we're at with these. And there's probably, I don't know what's on the list, I can't even remember, Brian. It's a tremendous amount of people make up that other portion.
Yeah, there were some very, very low balances, and the low-hanging fruit has been picked. Some of these are going to be cases where somebody died just with no assets and no estate was ever opened, and there was no other responsible party. Larry's not going to put a lot of time or effort into those, but he's going to do his due diligence to make sure that's the case. But some of these are dry holes, but the ones that aren't, if he can squeeze something out, he will.
The only thing I'll offer is, he did this work for Washington County. He was pretty successful in Washington County. The only other question I have is, once we turn this over and they go through the action, then would we write these cases off? Is that the game plan, do you think, or would we?
Well, that's what would happen, because by law, policy, procedure, whatever you want to say, we have to show that there was an effort made to collect this money and couldn't do it, and at that point in time...
But in the future, you would bring, after whoever, if the committee decided to go and we did hire, and then we went through each individual, and then they would bring it back to the full board, and then
Yes.
we would do through finance and through...
Yes,
Okay.
because what would happen, and I think we did one at the last board meeting, was it the last board meeting? We did one settlement. So even if, whatever they get, every one of those settlements will have to go through the board to be approved.
Right, we've done that before on the
Right.
private pays on
And then-
occasion.
And when we've got some that they report there's no way, then we would go to the board and say, okay, there's no way to collect these, let us close out these by writing it off.
I know a couple of them are in less than $100.
Oh, yeah, there was a bunch of them that were...
It just needs to be cleaned up.
Peter?
Just a general question of, are there any other law firms that would people feel slighted, offended, that they weren't given an opportunity to get involved in this? Is there, on the face of it, my gut would tell me, I don't think an attorney's going to get rich on this thing. Okay? So you know, that's the, but I know you don't have to go out to bid on something like this, but I'm just in terms of, is that an issue, do you think, or not an issue, or do we?
I can address that. There is the exception in our purchasing policy for legal services, and in this case, the law firm would represent the county, so it falls within that fairly narrow exception. What happened was, Kevin and I were talking about this, and Larry overheard the conversation. We were at a meeting for something else, and he said, you know, we did that for Washington County. And I talked to Roger Wicks, the Washington County attorney. He said they did, for them, they did a very good job. So he had made the offer. I said I would take it to committee. No. As sinister as it wants to be, anybody who may feel slighted, but...
I want to throw it on the floor.
I understand. Yeah.
Comment, okay?
Yeah,
Supervisor
absolutely.
Sokol?
Thank you, Madam Chair. When we had our grocery store, we had a debt collection agency for bad checks. And it's always been 30% roughly there, so whether we go with a collection agency or law firm, bottom line is we're still going to get around 67, 70%, which is probably the best you're going to ask for. But one question I did want to ask, Michael, maybe for you, but even though, like Supervisor Gary, we do that last ditch effort and then we write it off, can we still collect even after that?
If something happens, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. If somebody shows up with some money, I'm taking it. We're writing that on there. What we did.
Not to say that's highly likely, but I just want to know that it was
Yeah.
open.
Yes, it is.
All right, any other discussion? Oh, Supervisor Simpson?
I just want to say I think it's the right way to go, and this way we can, bring these things to closure and after we've done our due diligence.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Simpson.
I dare you.
I can't do that.
Oh, come on.
Okay, Supervisor Brock, any comments? I feel like Matt, I believe we should go with that first option and let's move forward with it. Mr. Brock?
Oh, no, I was tapping.
Oh, okay. So are you good if we go in that direction? If we go with this group and say we're going to go with the...
We need a resolution?
That's what I'm wondering, do we...
Yes, because there'll have to be a contract.
Right. Well, someone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we contract with that option
Option.
of the Martlet, Pontiff, et cetera, for 1/3 of recovery.
All right, a second to that.
And timeline, should there be do this within 1 year? How long are we going to drag this out?
Dragged it out a long time now.
As long as possible. I would say a year with an option for an extension for a year.
Yes.
Okay. You second that, Mr. McDonald? All right, second to that. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
think that's all I had, Madam Chair. I did want to let the committee know that we made an offer to an attorney, 2014 graduate of law school, which is a little bit more experience than I was hoping to get. Made an offer and he has accepted it, and he'll start on July 5th. Mary will be back in about 4 weeks and 3 days, but who's counting?
All right, does anyone on the committee have anything? Supervisor Sieber.
I do. You know, Brian, we've talked before about a litigation report, and I'm just wondering, is that something that can be emailed, or does that have to be discussed in executive session? I just find that the county gets sued so frequently, it would just be nice to know what's going on.
I would prefer to discuss it in executive session, and whatever meeting you want, I can have it prepared so that you can, I can tell you, list all of them. Would you like it for the next support services, or?
Yeah, I think in the past, we have looked at our litigations, and we did have a list of litigations. I don't think we've done it in several years, but I do remember in the past, I think, Frank, we've gotten a list of what was about, whether it was highway or something else, and we have, but we didn't leave the room with them, but it was handed out to the committee.
Supervisor Leggett, were you going to make a comment?
Well, I have a question. What's frequent? We get sued frequently.
I just, in my discussions with Brian, I think there's been a few lawsuits that have come up that I've said, oh, I didn't know about that, or what's going on with this, and he made me aware that I don't want to speak for Brian, but I think we have quite a few pending lawsuits, it takes up a good chunk of his time.
Yeah, we have, at any given time, we have, the majority are prisoner lawsuits against the sheriff, and it's not because the sheriff's doing anything wrong. To the contrary, he wins those uniformly, but they've still got to be defended. Those are handled almost all the time by insurance counsel. We have one that just came in because they're not asking for money damages that we're going to defend in our office. But there's probably at any time a dozen going on currently that we don't have insurance counsel for, that we're working on. But I can certainly have a report ready, and we can have an executive session at the next support services.
Like that for next month?
If the committee agrees, I know I'd like to just be informed, whether it be once a year or every 6 months or something like that. But I've obviously learned through the course of the performance evaluations and other discussions that, it is something that our staff are taking a lot of time on. So I'd like to...
Well, let's do it for next month, and maybe just plan on once every, 6 months, you could come back and say, this is where we're at.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good.
Would that include the ones from the jail, too?
Okay. Does anyone have anything else? All right, we will entertain a motion to adjourn. Supervisor McDonald, second by Supervisor Brock. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.